Hello. I just wanted to kind of break down the principles of intuitive eating. If you don't have a chance to buy the book or you're interested but kind of want to find out more about it first, I'm just going to do a video per principle because there's 10 principles, and if you can master or get through and learn each one of them, then you'll be on your way to be an intuitive eater and be free of that yo-yo dieting. So the first one and the most important one, it kind of has to be the first one because the rest of them won't work without this one, is rejecting the diet mentality. Rejecting the diet mentality is more than just quitting your current diet. It is completely rejecting it, saying that, diets do not work, they're not for me, and I will never do another one no matter how appealing or how much it promises me that it'll do for me. So it's more than just quitting the one you're on. It's completely rejecting them for life. So, it can be a scary thing, and it might take a while to get to that point. But here are some steps that she talks about to kind of do that. There's 4 steps. The first one is to kind of recognize the damages that dieting causes, and I'm sure you already know quite a few of them. But the physical ones that she talks about and that you may have experienced, chronic dieting, which is like over and over dieting, it actually teaches the body to retain more fat and to store it up because it thinks it needs to because it's used to being restricted, so it wants to store up. It slows the rate of weight loss. It decreases your metabolism. I'm sure you can relate with this one. It increases binging and it increases cravings. It increases the risk of premature death and heart disease. In fact, there are a lot of studies out there that say that yo-yo dieters are oftentimes more unhealthy than people that are overweight and steadily at the same overweight level, because taking your body up and down, restriction binging is really bad for it. So yeah, that's another thing. And in fact, she also mentions too that up and down can, it has a higher overall death rate and twice the normal risk of dying from heart disease, which is pretty ironic because it's kind of what we're trying to avoid by getting healthier using the diet. So, good. And then it says that people who lose and gain at least 11 pounds within a decade or so don't live as long as those that maintain a stable weight. So basically, yo-yoing your weight is more unhealthy than just keeping it steady, which dieting makes really hard to do. Good. And then obviously other things are headaches, menstrual irregularities. If you've gotten down to a low weight before, you might have experienced that. Fatigue, dry skin, and hair loss. So those are some physical things that dieting causes, and some mental and psychological and emotional things, which I'm sure maybe we experience or notice even more. Dieting is linked to eating disorders, or at least eating disorder symptoms. The binging, the heavy restriction, the purging, and that doesn't have to mean throwing up. That can mean, over-exercising to burn off all those calories that you ate. It's correlated with feelings of failure, low self-esteem, depression, social anxiety, and 2, when you're dieting, just thinking about eating a forbidden food can sometimes be enough to trigger overeating. So it really messes with our mind, and I'm sure you're aware of that. And it definitely takes away our confidence and our self-trust because we're told that we can't do this without the diet. We don't know what we need to eat. We don't know how to eat. We need to follow these rules because we can't do it by ourselves. So yeah, those are some physical and mental things. So step 1 is being aware of those things, believing that those things are true, and having experienced them helps with the believing it part. Step 2 is to be aware of diet mentality traits and thinking. So recognizing in yourself the diet things that you think. First thing is forgetting willpower. You'll hear the word willpower all the time when you hear about people talking about dieting. Oh, I have no willpower. I have no willpower. And something that she talks about that's kind of interesting is no doctor would expect a patient to will their blood pressure to normal levels. However, physicians frequently expect their overweight patients to will their weight loss by restricting their food. They say all you need is willpower and a little self-control. So that is a product of diet mentality, that all you need is willpower and self-control. And of course, diets tell you that that's all you need, because then when you fail, you blame yourself and not the diet. So as long as you think that, oh, it's my fault because I don't have willpower or I don't have self-control, it's not the diet's fault, it's just me, I can't do the diet. No, that's the diet telling you that, because if for a second you didn't think it was yourself, well then what else are you going to blame? The diet. And the second that you blame the diet, well, the diet industry is going to be in big trouble. So who's the one perpetuating this, these thoughts that it's you and it's your self-control and your willpower? Them, because they stand to profit when we feel like the failures. Yeah, so that's a diet mentality thing. The feeling of needing to be like a rule follower or being obedient, diets come with a bunch of rules, and rules are meant to be broken. I mean, it's cliche, but when you do a diet and you have all those rules, they're going to get broken at some point unless you plan on living your life exactly to those rules perfectly, which just is not humanly possible. So, the rules and feeling like you need to be obedient to rules is another indication of a diet mentality. And with intuitive eating, there are no rules and there will be no need to rebel, which is really nice. And failure. Failure is a huge diet mentality thing. You always hear people say, oh, I failed my diet. I fell off the wagon. I got to start over. I'm back to square one. You could follow a diet for a month and then have one bad day and be like, oh, I have to start over. I failed. You have 30 amazing days and then one bad day, and then you failed. And that's really typical. That's what dieting does to you, because it sets you up for that perfection mentality and having to follow the rules. And if you don't, then you failed. So what's nice about intuitive eating is you can't fail. It's a learning process. If there's a setback, it's not seen as a setback. It's seen as a learning experience. And that's a lot nicer than being like, oh, guess you gotta start over, you sucked that one up, sorry. So yeah, those are some diet mentality things that you want to be aware of and think about. Am I obsessed with following the rules? Do I feel like a failure when I quit? Do I feel like I have no willpower or self-control? Because those are all products of diet mentality. Step 3, getting rid of the dieting tools. So dieting basically relies on all external cues and rules and regulations, not on yourself. Whether you're hungry or not doesn't matter. It's about the rules and what you're supposed to do. So some of those dieting tools, number 1 is the scale. I need to do a whole nother video about the scale, so I will step back a little bit and chill out about the scale. But that is a dieting tool. It depends on the person, but most people give it a lot of power. Their whole day or their whole week might be ruined based on a number on the scale. And it's such an inaccurate way to show progress. But yeah, and it doesn't even show, it shows nothing. I actually gained weight when I was doing lifting programs, like weightlifting. But if you looked at pictures, I looked better. It doesn't show, when you're losing fat versus gaining muscle. It doesn't show those things. It's just, I've had those moments where I felt like I had an amazing week. I did so great. I worked out, I ate healthy, and then I stepped on that scale. It didn't show me what I wanted, and it didn't matter that I had a great week and I felt great for 7 whole days. The second I stepped on that scale, gone. Didn't matter anymore. Why would we let something have that power over us, especially when we don't have to? So that's a dieting tool, the scale. Other things, calorie counters. I know I was a huge MyFitnessPal user. I used it all the time. I went off and on it, but it told me what to eat. I went through the whole macronutrient phase where I focused on carbs and protein and fat rather than calories. But yeah, it's another tool of dieting, because does it make sense that person A and person B, let's say they're both the same height, same age, same weight, but person A runs all the time and person B lifts weights all the time, but yet they're going to be told to eat the same amount of calories based on their statistics or whatever, because they're both active, but they're doing different kinds of activities. Well, the calorie counter doesn't know that, but guess what? It's going to spit out the same number for both. Those calorie recommendations are crap, and it does not know what your body needs, and it assumes that you're going to need the same amount of calories every day. Well, that's also crap, because guess what? When you're going, like, if you're on your period, for example, you tend to need some more calories, or at least you're hungry more often, or if you are, I don't know, more active one day than the next, you need more calories. I mean, it's too standard. I mean, it just gives no room for anything. It's eat this number of calories and that's it. What happens if I eat all my calories and it's 7 o'clock and I'm hungry, I'm starving? What do? Well, I either don't eat and I go hungry all night and until the next morning because I don't have the calories, or I have to feel like crap because I'm going over my calories. It's not good. And the worst thing about it is it creates an obsession with food. It took me a long time to get those calories out of my head and to fix the relationship with food that calorie counting ruined. So that's another dieting tool. And the last step is being compassionate towards yourself. Dieting, oftentimes we are not compassionate with ourselves. We are harsh with ourselves. We expect perfection. We feel like we failed if we don't. We want to understand that we're human and this life was not meant for perfection. Our relationship with food was not meant for perfection. It's all about progress, and it's about creating a better life for yourself with a better relationship with food, a better self-esteem, a better body image, all of those things which dieting will not produce. That's the last one, is being compassionate with yourself. If you were where I was 6 months ago, you may have just watched that and gone, that lady's crazy. Which you might be right, but for other reasons. You know, the fact that I own 5 pets doesn't help. But it's okay if it sounds crazy. That just means that, you know, you're not ready and you're still working out. You're whatever. Like, you're at the point in your life that you're at. You know, we're not all on the same journey. But I do know that, you know, after 5 years of dieting and then binge eating heavily, frequently, I never thought that I could break free from dieting. I thought I was going to have to diet for life. I thought that, I'll just diet until I reach my goal weight and then I'll go back to eating normally. Well, if you've been there, you know that doesn't work, because you've created such a crappy relationship with food. By the time you get to your goal weight, you are going to be so scared of ever gaining the weight that you'll still have diet mentality. You won't be able to go back to eating normally. And if you start eating the foods that you were restricting, then you'll gain some weight back and then you'll go back to dieting. So it's just a never-ending cycle unless you end that cycle by getting rid of the dieting. So I hope that this helped. Please comment below if you have any questions or concerns, or maybe if you've, overcome the diet mentality, maybe share how you've done so. But it's really the most important part. So I hope that this helped a little bit. I have some other videos around on my website if you're still like, nope, diets are for me. Otherwise, I hope that maybe you're considering that this was relatable and that you don't want to be stuck on that diet cycle anymore. And if you're ready, hopefully, then Principle 2 will be coming up here soon. And you can be ready to move on and make that progress towards being an intuitive eater, which is so exciting. So I will see you in another video.